the answer of we're probably not getting enough or we're probably not getting any is an unacceptable answer that no one would ever hold anybody accountable to. Let's start there. Let's go in GATS 5.
Just to give you some context, John, basically the main concern that the client has is in regards to lead volume. I've been trying to run the account in broad on a TCPA. I've also tried the account running on exact on a max clicks. And I also recommended them to improve the website because they had like a 12-question form that nobody was filling out. So they made it shorter and a little more specific for both websites. But they're still not happy with the volume they're getting, basically.
Wait, sorry. You said they're not happy with the lead quality, but then you said they're not happy with the volume?
No, just volume. The only problem is volume.
Oh, okay. So if the only problem is volume, why not add budget? What did they say when you suggested budget?
Because we are not spending the full budget yet. We haven't even reached the full budget yet. And the target CPA that they're looking to get is between 100 and 150. And we're not there yet either.
So here's one thing. I don't think we're tracking all of the conversions. So they have book an appointment on the homepage. That one's being tracked, right?
Yes, correct. That goes to the thank you page.
Okay. What about the chats? So I know that they used to get a lot of chats. And then chats fell off, and then they fired the person that was supposed to fix it, and then the other person became disinterested, and then the other person came back, and she's like, we just turned something on, and that's where we're at. But they were getting probably 10 chats a day.
Yeah, so the web guy, I have not been able to find a way to track this one. And the web guy said they haven't gotten a lot lately.
Well, of course, the person that's not going to want to work is going to tell you that.
Right.
Do we have access to this chat?
No, we don't, but I can try to get it.
Let's get that first. So this is so the outside of app metrics that we're going to track are things like CAC or NCAC. We can identify that by looking at the amount of leads that they attribute, leads that they can see on their end, not in Google Ads, but on their end, divided by spend. So what we're going to do is, unfortunately, we have to teach lead generation clients how to be good business people, which means if we see 10 chats coming in and 3 are ignored and 2 are late and 2 are actually good and that kind of stuff, what we have to ask is, hey, you're spending $150 cost, maybe less, about $100 cost per chat, and those are not going anywhere. I guarantee you, if the tech person's like, we're probably not getting a lot, like, they don't know. That's not a viable answer. Imagine them paying us and say, hey, how's Google Ads doing? And we're like, that's probably not, you're probably getting good. Like that's kind of the same answer. We wouldn't be held accountable to it. We should not hold other people accountable to that. We have a higher standard. So let's work on getting access to the chats. That was also something that did really, really well for them. There was tons of it. Most of them were chats. Now we haven't tracked it for probably a year, but the person that I was doing business with, Callie at the time, there are many variations of passages of lorem ipsum available. The majority are suffered by injected humor. Whoa, we got to make sure that they can update their site to this lorem ipsum default text. Just as a side note, let's let them know about that. But the point in time that we have to measure is the leads that they see on their side. not what's in Google Ads. Because I think in Google Ads we're close. Like if we tracked chats in the last 30 days, we're within goal at 162. And this is just a lead, the calls, online call tracking, and calls from ads.
Just so everyone's clear, what is the cost per lead goal?
100 to 150.
Okay, and they're wanting to see 100 to 150 inside the Google Ads dashboard or in total business metrics?
What I've been trying to do is, since they have not been picking up the phone sometimes in call tracking metrics, I've been kind of like using that, like, hey, you're having these calls, you're not picking them up, they're not going to be transferred to Google Ads, therefore they won't show up here. So in the last call that I had with them, I kind of like just grabbed all of it, all the data from both the forms and the calls, and just kind of like do like a blended CPA. So they're not necessarily looking at Google Ads right now, but I'm just trying to like anticipate to anything that they may come up with.
Yeah. We'd have to measure their back end. So what we want to do is we want to hop into their tool and say, here's how many chats, phone calls, whether they answered it or not, and leads, and then say, by the way, the difference between the cost per lead that we're generating and the cost per contacted lead is 50% off. You're not answering your calls, you're not answering your chats. You know, those things we have to, because right now what they're doing is they're saying my business is failing, so let's cure it with more traffic. And that's what they're trying to account for, is they won't look at necessarily themselves, because like you said, they're not answering every phone call. But what they want us to do is deliver more phone calls that they won't answer, which is not going to affect the metric they're trying to hold us accountable to, which is in-app CPA. And that's why in-app CPA doesn't work. That's why in-app metrics fail every time. So what we have to do is gain access to more than they want us to give access to. And our reasoning is I can't help you unless I know where the fail points are. And the answer of we're probably not getting enough, or we're probably not getting any, is an unacceptable answer that no one would ever hold anybody accountable to. Let's start there. That's the first thing is we can never look in-app. In-app does not mean anything. We have to look at what is actually landing, because their sales team, if they're good, you win. If they're bad, you fail, Dean. So you have to hold them accountable before they hold you accountable first.
I think that's a really good idea to have those two data points, John. Like, I've never thought to do that. You show them the cost per lead of answered calls and the cost per lead total, and say, like, look, like, you're making your own cost per conversion go way up by not answering calls.
Yeah. And if you add money to this, it just becomes more expensive, as your team will not get better. They especially will not scale in efficiency with more dollars that I put into the account. The way that I would say this too is I would go most of the time for me, like, as I have a real harsh way that I deal with clients. I would say, hey, I think we're not the right fit. You're going to fire me based on your team's inability to contact the leads that I'm delivering. And my reputation means more to me than what your business apparently means to you. So I usually have a real hard, fast line in the sand. But the way that I manage it is I hop into only the back end clients and I say, what happened with these leads? And when they go, now they're flipping everything around. They start to look at their internal teams. So what I would say, Dean, is a good idea is to say, I'd actually like to decrease costs, because I am outpacing your team. They're not contacting the calls. They're not contacting the chats. And if you're asking me to fix Google because your team isn't answering the calls, we're going to make this work worse. It's going to be more expensive. We need to actually back down the spend to what your team can handle, because it seems that we may have a staffing or operations issue based on these facts, not opinions, these facts. This is how many leads are generated. This is how many leads were contacted. This is how many chats came in. This is how many chats went unanswered. It took 2 to 3 minutes for people to answer the chat. You can see that they went dormant by there and weren't responding back. The people that are landing in the inbox, the people that are landing in the CRM are not being contacted, and they're one back button away from 3 of your competitors. all those things that are the reasons we will live and die by how proficient their sales team is, and we're outpacing their sales team, and you're asking us to outpace them further. I do not think that's a good business decision for you.
This is client management gold, everybody. Like, if anyone has any lead gen clients who are asking for more lead quality, like, this is such a good strategy.
Cool. So let's start
Perfect.
there and let's bring it back.
Thank you, John.
Yep.
I will do that. I think I kind of flipped it last time, so I don't think they're blaming us right now, because I showed her like 50% of calls not being answered, and in each call costing them $100. So they were like, "Oh, these people are not good." Like they said bad things, but not about us, just about their team. So yeah, I will try to get access to the other, like the live chat, and see what else we can do. Thank you.
Sounds good.
John, can I say
No.
the slightest caveat?
Yeah.
You can first of all, first time caller, long time listener, and agree with everything you're saying.
Thanks for being on the show, Colby.
Yeah, thanks for having me. My only caveat is, so yeah, we're always looking at like the end number, like what are we actually trying to do? Don't live in an app. But will you agree that once you're looking at things properly, you can use in-app just as your baseline? Like, these numbers aren't real, but if I'm moving something in this direction, say you have a CPQL or something, and it's like you've decreased it in-app, and then you go and verify that you've decreased it somewhere else, do you still use that indication, or do you solely just look non-in-app? Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. No, you can absolutely. What I'll do is I'll use the back-end metrics and then draw a correlation between what the front-end metrics look like and find the delta of the attribution there.
Yeah.
So for my other little company, Traveloo, it's 50%. I track 50% of every e-commerce sale in-app, and I'm the only one running any sort of marketing for my own company. So I see 50% of the data. This last week, though, it was 40%. I had a $4,000 in revenue, and I actually made like 10. So what I will do is draw a correlation of, okay, a 180% TROAS and 180% ROAS goal instead of Google Ads will give me a 4. And then I make sure that delta is not increasing or decreasing, so I'll know how to maintain my attributed metrics in order to influence my backend metrics.
Yeah, perfect. Okay.
Yeah, but every client will be different. Just depends on their sales cycle and how much their site speed actually affects more than anything else.
No, Regina was talking about site speed the other day.
Well, if you think about it, how when you hit a thank you page, how fast you usually leave that thank you page after you place an order?
Zoop.
Right. Now, how many seconds does that page take to load?
Yeah. I think
we don't know. We got to find out.
They say like DOM ready. I just know because I've had it's not firing quick enough. You're not going to even record that.
And if it doesn't go through all of the tags and firing the conversion tag on that page, Google says nothing happened. So your site speed on the thank you page and how fast those people leave will depend on if your in-app metrics are even trending in the right direction. Or if some people start to leave faster or slower, your ROAS goes up and down. That's stupid, right? Cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So today we have a very fun topic that we're covering.
Yes, we sure do. Today, Daniela, we are talking about the importance of lead quality conversations and measuring your cost per lead versus